All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today I'll be doing my preview and prediction for the Hawaii Bowl going down on Christmas Eve in Hawaii between Cal and the Rainbow Warriors. Golden Bears, 1.5 point favorites. 55.5 is the total, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, it is bowl season. A lot of transfers and opt-outs can happen at any moment. It could change the information. I think for these two teams, though, it's relatively going to be the same rosters you saw in the regular season. Get anything started, though, with this Cal offense against the Hawaii defense. This is a good group from Cal. Their production at times is certainly underwhelming for what they are capable of. Quarterback Juan Kiawe Segamatole, Hawaii native. He's going to return home to play in front of his friends and family. He's had a heck of a season. He's really impressed this year. 260 pass yards per game, 17 touchdowns. His downfield accuracy has been highly impressive. 3 straight games of high-end efficiency and no turnovers after a disappointing game against Virginia. This is a guy who's been great this season. I've been very impressed by JKS throughout the year, being as young as he is, an incredibly talented player, can really throw the football with some good spin. He has nice receivers. Jacob DeJesus is phenomenal, 99 grabs, 892 yards. He's really good on punt returns as well, can make a special teams impact at any time. I fully anticipate he's going to play. Leads the nation in targets by a pretty wide margin. He's a guy that plays with a lot of grit and a lot of heart, so he's going to get a lot of touches in this one. As the seasons went on, though, he's been putting up staggering numbers. 3 straight games of 12-plus receptions. After kind of a slow start to the year, he's really been teeing off on opponents as a possession pass catcher. Tron Grizzle has been a nice downfield weapon for him, about 15 yards per catch. Nice tight end, Mason Minnie. Jordan King's also been a respectable first down option. Nice receiving group here for Cal. Biggest problem for them is they don't really run the ball very well. Kendrick Raphael does have 12 touchdowns and 853 yards, but the efficiency for this run game collectively, he's been ridiculous. 2.5 yards per carry, not great. And obviously, a lot of sacks bring that number down. But Raphael's still sitting at under 4 yards per touch. So the run game's not been all that efficient. The Cal offensive line is a big, strugglesome group for them. Obviously, that's where Hawaii's going to look to take advantage of this offense and make stops. And they have the defensive ends to potentially get it done. You look at guys like Jackie Johnson, who have 8.5 tackles for loss. Dejon Benton on the interior, 270-pounder. Also has 9.5 TFL and 5.5 sacks. It's been a good group for them. Keywan Williams as well, a veteran defensive lineman for them. This is a run defense that's been good this year, giving up about 133 yards per game. They've been able to slow down opponents for the most part. Only twice this year they've given up over 200 yards, and that wasn't a staggering amount by any means. So the Hawaii defense has been competitive, especially if they're going to have Peter Manuma out there in the secondary. He's been tremendous. He's a good run stopper, leads the team with 72 tackles, a heck of a playmaker. Jameith Otis at linebacker. Him and Jalen Smith have been a nice productive duo. They're almost sitting on 60 tackles each. Nothing crazy for them at linebacker, but definitely a group that has been good for the most part, even though when it comes to tackling efficiency, they've really struggled in that regard. So maybe potential for Cal to have some catch and run opportunities against the middle of this defense. The Hawaii secondary, kind of a group that I'm going to target. Because that's what it's going to come down to, is this secondary against this passing attack. Do they have the athletes to match up? And I'm just not sure if they do. Against UNLV, they got torched. San Jose State a few weeks earlier gave up 458 yards. That was at the beginning of November. Numerous times this year they've given up 200 plus. They played Air Force and got hammered for almost 300 yards, against a triple option. How does that happen? So they've really struggled with discipline, especially with their eyes. We'll see how creative Cal can get in this one. Jaheim Wilson-Jones at corner has not been very good against the run, but respectable in coverage. Verdell Edwards has as well. They're going to have tough matchups, though. And then Elijah Palmer in the slot is the guy that's probably been their best coverage asset altogether. So the secondary, I think, has a competitive group, but when it comes to defending Cal's pass catchers, I just don't know if they're going to be able to get it done without being able to find much pass rush. And I think they'll be able to do that, though. I think Johnson's great, and this is still a deep defensive line for the Rainbow Warriors. So I definitely think that's going to be the way for them to neutralize this pass game, is to generate pass rush more often than not. So Cal's going to have to look to, neutralize this D-line by being able to run the football, just keeping them off balance, attacking the edges, moving to the other side of things. The Hawaii offense against the Golden Bear defense for Hawaii. This is a fun offense to watch, 28 points per game. Mike Alejado is a phenomenal quarterback, runs this offense really to perfection. Has some nice arm strength, 283 pass yards per game, completing 66%. Does have 9 interceptions, but it's a high-volume passing attack. At times, right, throughout the year, they've had less than 40 passing attempts. Really, in the month of November is kind of staggering to see them not throw the football as much, but throughout the year, you're typically going to see them throw 40, 50 times a game. He has the pass catchers that can handle this type of work. Jackson Harris, 963 yards, 12 touchdowns, almost 20 yards per catch. Has been a big play weapon. Buffel Ashlock, 700 plus yards for them. Brandon White has been a nice number 3, and a handful of other guys that get involved in this pass game as well. Nick Cynical, a guy that I might play. I mean, he's battled injury this year, and he's been a very productive player in the past for them. So if he's healthy, he's definitely going to get a long leash in this one to make them even more lethal. Hawaii, a veer and shoot offense, only run it about 29 times per game. They do a respectable job on the ground with Landon Sims and Cam Barfield. They both have, a combined 7 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards between the pair. This is not something they're going to do a whole lot of. They're not very efficient. They don't have a single game this year over 150 yards, so it's really just a one-dimensional attack for them. And, that's not ideal because Cal's biggest weakness is their run defense. They're terrible, 162 yards per game allowed. I seen them against Virginia Tech, Virginia, SMU get absolutely throttled on the ground. In Hawaii, even if they want to try and commit to the run, they're just not capable of ripping off those type of runs. Their run scheme's not built to do that. The offense is just not centered around it, right? So I'm not sure if they're going to be able to really take advantage of that big weakness. Aiden Kianiania, he's great. Nice run stopper for Cal in the middle. That's about it. They got some other guys like TJ Bowlers, Jaden Wayne, guys that just really aren't that good. It's more so about the linebackers because the D-line doesn't generate much pressure. Cade Ulave is phenomenal. He's an elite pass rusher. He's been solid against the run this year as well. Very good at just shooting downhill and filling gaps and being a playmaker. Has 11.5 TFLs on the interior. Luke Farrelly, also as a freshman, has really stepped up this year with 87 tackles. TJ Bush coming off the edge is probably their best pass rusher with 5.5 sacks. So I think this could be a problem for Hawaii because you're going to be facing a secondary that's done well this year. Less than 200 yards per game allowed. They've not had too many flaws. I mean, they've not given up 300 yards in a game this year, and they've played some tough passing attacks. The likes of Virginia, Louisville, SMU. It took them really until late in that game to start ripping off some big plays, so they really had them covered up for the most part. So if this Golden Bears secondary is going to be at full strength, then that's definitely going to be a matchup advantage for them. The corners have been great. Ezekiel Massis, Brent Austin, these guys have been tremendous this year for Cal. I know they're going to be licking their chops in these matchups, which are going to be competitive. Masses, though, 5 interceptions on the year. You look at the safety group for Cal. It's also been a very strong part of their defense. Drew Polidoro and Aiden Mantuai. Not very good against the run, but these guys are respectable in coverage, but it's going to come down to these corners and their matchups. I think they're going to do well for Hawaii. This is an offensive line that's just going to have to generate run lanes. They've not been very good in pass protection this year. It's been a big struggle for them, especially with the tackle position. So you're going to have to look to win those matchups and get the ball out quickly, and that's something Hawaii can absolutely do with this unit. Moving to the final thoughts and the prediction, I definitely think that Cal has some very favorable matchups in this one. Hawaii playing at home, though, is certainly going to be beneficial to them. I think you're going to see a lot of offense in this one. Nick Rolovich used to coach here. He's going to be the intern for the bowl game. You'll love to see that. It's just an amazing game all around. JKS is from the state. So, I mean, just when it comes to overall heritage and culture, it's just going to be a great display for these two schools. I think at the end of the day, though, Cal's going to get the job done. I think JKS is just the best player in this game. And I think that the biggest disadvantage for Cal is that run defense, and that's just not something the Rainbow Warriors are going to be able to take advantage of for a full 4 quarters. So I think that Cal's going to win this game. I'm going to keep it 34-31. I think Cal could probably even win it by more, but I think the best bet's probably going to be that over 55.5. I don't see this one being a relatively close defensive battle. I think you're going to see the offenses tee off more often than not. Should be a good game, though, right before Christmas Eve. Always love the Hawaii Bowl. I think Cal will get the job done, though. That's going to be it for today's episode. If you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.